Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I am Gary Mack, and I'm joined, as always, right here, well, he's over here, I guess. It's Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you?
Doing well, Gary. Thanks for the introduction. And yeah, we're hearkening back to an old system that we used to use to record the podcast many moons ago. It's fun to go back to these things sometimes because we completely forgot how to use it, and they've changed it on us. So
Yeah.
we're having a fun time rediscovering it anyway.
Yeah, we're trying to Skype out this week just because we wanted to chat a little bit, and Zoom, you only get that 40 minutes, and we were rushing towards the end there. So
Yes.
at least we'll have a little bit more. Well, we had a little bit more time to to chat, because it's been a while since we've been on the air together, Rich, and talked for that matter.
Yes. Been a couple of weeks. We took some time off, but we have a race in the baseball world all of a sudden. The dog days of August are upon us.
And we've got some major injuries to one particular player that really could affect the offseason, interestingly enough, and a major retirement announcement. So that's all coming up. So, Rich, the races, as you said, are heating up in the middle to end of August as we hit or get close to the September stretch run.
Yeah, we're in late August, just a weekend before Labor Day. Look at me going back to May, Memorial Day. But yeah, Labor Day is upon us. The season has slipped away, and now all of a sudden we only have one more month to look forward to of regular season baseball. Does it seem like it should almost be over to you?
It doesn't. The season has flown by, and it's still, it still seems like it's May or June, but here we are in the August, and it just seems like August started, and we're in the 26th
26th, yeah.
of August already, and wow, I mean, and such a change from even last season. I mean, my team was in it last year. Now your team is really in it, and mine's in last place. So from first to worst for the New York Mets. But hope for the future. But yeah, it's interesting too. Baltimore in first place in the AL East and hanging on by 3 games. I guess the NL East, we'd have to call it over. Even though your Phillies are doing well, they're in there, but I think they're going to have to take that wild card, Rich. At this point in time, Atlanta seems to wrap it up. I think, what is it? They have a 10 or a 13 game lead in the division. So let's just give it to Atlanta, and then AL Central, Minnesota's got a 6.5 game lead, I think, over the
Cleveland Guardians.
Cleveland Guardians. Thank you, and that could be interesting. And out west, I guess we got to call that one too. In the well, not so much in the American League. That's a dogfight there.
Yeah, Seattle turning in a 9-1 record in their last 10 games. Beat up on a team today. I think they scored 15 runs against them, and all of a sudden they've woken up and absconded with first place out there in the AL West.
and yeah, and Texas is right behind them, and so is Houston. So we've got a three-team race out in the AL West, and not the same in the NL West, as the Dodgers have pulled out, but the NL Central's got some interesting action going on.
Yeah, they're still a little bit bunched up. The Milwaukee Brewers with a 4-game lead over the Cubs, but the Cubs are in that wild card race as well. A little few games back, but there still is a month left. Like I was saying on another show that I do, I don't really start watching the wild card till September because it can change so much. There's no real reason to tune into it until now, but they're certainly in the race are the Cubs and the D-backs as well.
Yeah, and of course you're being modest and not saying that your Phillies are got the number one wild card spot, I believe, at this point in time. So last year they sneaked in, if you will, with the last wild card slot, took it and ran that with it all the way to the World Series. So we'll see with the first wild card slot what they'll do this season.
If they can hold on to it.
Well, yeah, what's their lead in the wild card right now? I think it's
3 games.
Well, they've been playing decent ball, and have been in it, and now they've got a taste of it from last year and an experience. So it's not like they're new at this, and that's a big key. That was a big key last year, getting into that, going as far as they went. For the experience, for the younger guys, and I think it'll do good for them.
Yeah, so good for them. The Phillies playing better, and we'll see. They still are sort of Jekyll and Hyde-ish at times. They're not that powerhouse team that I would hope them to be, but like you said, they did well last year, so maybe it could bear repeating again.
Well, speaking of powerhouse teams, that Atlanta Braves, they just keep rolling and winning, and it's hard to see anybody beating them this year. But of course, the playoffs are crapshoot, so anything can happen. But they look like the team to beat.
Yeah, they have a plus 222 run differential, which is the highest of any team in baseball. They've scored 222 more runs than their opponents, so that's huge. And as you said, they've been rolling along 8-2 in their last 10, 4-game winning streak. They're 84 wins and 44 losses. This is going to be a 100-win ball club easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we're hoping New York that we avoid losing 100 games.
Yeah, that's true. You're on your way, but I don't think you'll lose 100.
After winning 101 last year, this has been a big disappointment. But they have just not played well at all this season, and of course now that they've made so many trades to fix the problem, hopefully going into the future, and to refill their minor leagues. At least the Mets minor league teams are doing better. The guys that they acquired are really look like quality players. So hopefully they'll do it when they get to the majors, if they make it to the majors. But yeah, a lot of real surprises this year, with St. Louis being as bad as they are, as the Mets as being where they are and as bad, and Rich, of course, the big question again is the San Diego Padres have been a complete, I guess you'd have to call it a flop. I mean, they made all those trades and free agent signings, and they had the good farm system, and they brought this guy in and that guy in and signed this guy and traded for this guy, and they've really been a big flop.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it almost goes to prove that sometimes you just can't buy a winning caliber ball club.
Mm-hmm.
Individual egos don't necessarily blend well on a team. So, and we've seen that other years, specifically big name teams with high payrolls not doing well year after year. It's those scrappy teams sometimes that have that chemistry about them. The Seattle Mariner type of clubs of the baseball world. But yeah, it's going to be interesting as we finish out this last month of baseball here. 4 weeks left and a couple days. And I'm looking forward to it as usual for the playoffs.
And Rich, one team that I don't think will be making the playoffs yet again is the Los Angeles Angels, and they've just had a big setback in Shohei Ohtani. He will not pitch the rest of the season because he has a tear in the ulnar collateral ligament that could lead to Tommy John surgery. And he will continue to bat. He will continue to DH. But Rich, he had a 10-5 record for them. Of course, we all know how terrific Ohtani is, but this really could be an end of an era because he may not be. He had Tommy John surgery in 2019. He's got this tear again. So far, they're taking a conservative approach with it. They're not going to operate. But he's also got his walk year, his free agent year. So it's going to be, really, this couldn't have happened at a worse time because he was going to get a contract that was astronomical. But was he going to get the contract because of his hitting, because of his pitching, or because of both? Now now he becomes a DH essentially. So it's going to be an interesting. Is he going to pitch again? Is he going to have the surgery? Our team's going to want to take a chance and pay him $50 million a year or whatever, if the possibility that they'll lose him at least for a short period of time, one way or the other, if he has Tommy John surgery. Even if he he played some outfield, didn't he, for a while?
Yes. Yep.
And we know he can hit, so he could always be, considered as he could always grab a glove and learn how play the outfield again. But this is going to really set up a lot of interesting stuff for the offseason.
Yeah, like, will a team pay all that money that we heard about, that $500 million, which to me is mind-boggling. It's like Rip Van Winkle. You go to sleep and wake up 100 years from now, and a $500 million contract? No, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I'm almost expecting he'll depending upon what they decide to do. I'm almost expecting that he'll take a 1-year contract next year. That's might be all he's offered, unless somebody like the Dodgers. I don't think the Mets are going to do it, but somebody like the Dodgers take a flyer on it and hope that he comes back if he gets the surgery, or that he, the tear isn't bad and they can get a year or two out of him. And then if he's got to get Tommy John surgery, or they just move him to the DH or the outfield after that. He's still valuable as a DH, but I don't think a DH alone is worth $500 million.
Yeah, no, not specifically. No, not at all. But we'll have to see what happens with that. And his stablemate there, Mike Trout, injured as well.
Right. came back and he was out for 6 weeks, and now he's back out again. So that team's had nothing but hard luck, and they'd probably be better off trading Trout at this stage as well, and let him try to trade him to a contender and give him a chance to win, because they're not going to win with him there and Otani. It's quite apparent that they just can't seem to build around those guys, which is odd. You'd think it would be easy to try to fill in the slots when you've got key positions locked up, but they can't seem to do it very well, and so maybe it's time to let them go and move on to somebody else.
Yes, indeed. The time to do that would have been a few months ago. Of course, they probably would have got the most for both players, but Artie Moreno there wanted to hold on to both of them, so that's what he got.
Yeah, and they thought they could make a run.
Yeah,
they thought they were close enough to make a run, and then they made some changes and made some trades, and it turns out they're playing worse now. I think I read they were 4-15 or something since the trading deadline. So not a good move for the Los Angeles Angels. But speaking of moves, a player that is making a move, unfortunately, into retirement, Rich, is Steven Strasburg, the MVP of the 2019 World Series. He's planning to retire from baseball. This, according to a source that told Mark Feinstein of MLB.com. The news was first reported by the Washington Post. The Nationals have a press conference tentatively scheduled for September 9th, but they have not confirmed the report. He has not pitched since June 9th, 2022, when he made his only appearance of the season for Washington. He underwent surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome in 2021, not been able to make a full return from that procedure. So Steven Strasburg's going to call it a day, and kind of a shame, but they did get a world championship out of while he was there, so I guess it wasn't a total loss. But boy, he could be dominant at times. Terrific pitcher when he was on, but just his career was full of injuries.
Yeah, you almost saw that coming. He's been out more than he's been pitching in the last couple of years. So end of an era there for Washington. Strasburg, when he came up, I remember he was a fireball pitcher and, just wore out over time. But it does happen. So.
Yeah, it certainly does. And it came up with a lot of fanfare, number one pick for the Nationals. And as we said, got a world championship. And so, the thoracic outlet syndrome, some guys come back from that, and he just doesn't seem to, his body doesn't want to come back from that. And Matt Harvey had sort of a hard time, but he came back for a while, pitched in the majors a little bit, but was never the same. And very interesting that they, of course, they have to have it done because it involves blood vessels and nerves and whatnot, and but for whatever reason he couldn't get it done, and he's gonna call it a career. 13 years, Rich. All with the Nationals, 3-time an All-Star, 113.62 record, 3.24 ERA, 1,723 strikeouts. And, considering everything, it wasn't an awful career.
Yes, he was very good, and didn't really pitch all that much when he was hurt, and he was hurt a lot. So best of luck to him in retirement. And I'm sure our teams won't miss him. None. The Phillies and the Mets won't have to face him anymore. You know.
It's a sure.
So we got the benefit of that. Um, little talk about robo umpires being in use at AAA ballparks in 23. All 30 AAA ballparks are using robot umpires. Did you happen to know that?
No, I didn't really know that.
Yeah, deployed at all AAA ballparks, including the Texas affiliate Round Rock Express. So it's been in use. The technology is called Automatic Balls and Strikes System, or ABS. But not a lot of players are big fans of it, believe it or not. There was an article just the other day in one of the baseball trade websites that the players aren't on board with it. You know, they sort of prefer a regular umpire. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. In addition to, of course, the changes that the MLB has made already this year.
Are you getting used to the pitch clock yet?
No, I still I like the 3-hour game. I was just looking about earlier today about how we've shaved an average of 20 minutes off per game average to 240. It's hovering around 2 hours, 40 minutes. It used to be 3 hours for a number of years there. And then it was lower before that. So I don't know what happened to stretch it out to the 3 hours, but that's my sweet spot for a game. I like to go to a game. If I'm walking around, I want a little more time. And I just don't have that time at the stadium. Now, if you're home, maybe it's okay. I mean, maybe you just want to be in front of that TV for 2 hours and a half, 2 hours, 40 minutes. But when you're at the stadium, it flies by too fast to me, and it's just not a value for money anymore.
I can see that, and I think you're right on the money. I think that when I remember reading a few years ago when they took a survey that people at the ballpark were okay with the longer games while people at home wanted shorter games. So, for all the reasons that you said, but overall, people seem to like it. They seem to, enjoy that the game moves faster. I'm sure that it's making an excuse from a Mets point of view, but I believe that part of the problem the Mets had in the early part of the season was due to the pitch clock. They had some older pitchers. It's tough to adjust to for them, and B, the quickness of it all probably tired them a little more because if you're a pitcher and you're feeling a little tired, you used to be able to take that little break, walk around the mound, and try to get your adrenaline going again. And this year pitchers couldn't do that because of the pitch clock. So I think it affected them, but it's not an excuse. It's just an opinion. Um, and it may have affected other pitchers around the league as well. Others, the younger pitchers, it might have helped them because they had it in the minor leagues. So, uh, it's 6 and 1/2 a dozen of the other. But I still think if they cut out a lot of the freaking commercials, they'd have a lot more faster game without having to go to a pitch clock. Years ago when I was a kid, the games were short, 2 hours, 20 minutes, 2 hours, 30 minutes like that. And um, they didn't have a pitch clock, and guys would get out of the thing and walk around and everything. But it's a learned behavior. They learned it young that they could take their time, and then when they got to the majors, they continued it. Now it's just the opposite. The mind is they're learning they have to go quicker because of a pitch clock. Hopefully, maybe they'll in the next 10 years they'll eliminate it. They'll find the need that they don't need it anymore, and we'll see if that increases the length of games or shortens it. But I think it's here to stay, Rich, and we have to live with it.
Yep. Unfortunately for me. But tune into the greatest baseball talk radio shows and podcasts over at baseballtalkradio.com. You can find a whole collection of baseball talk shows, including this one, Gary's Mets Musings. He has a nice interview this week with an ex-Met. And who was that, Gary?
Mr. Ed Kranepool, it ties back to the 62 Mets, signed as a 17-year-old, Rich, at coming out of high school. In those days, they didn't have a draft. Signed and went to the major leagues that year. Only played for a couple of games, but can you imagine that? 17 years old.
Yeah.
And I think his first roommate was like 36 or something. So it's an interesting interview. Hope you all tune in on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. And Mr. Ed Kranepool, of course, a 69 World Series champion as well. And he's got a book out called The Last Miracle. And the last miracle for him was getting a kidney transplant, and it saved his lives, and was an interesting story, and he'll talk a little bit about it in the interview, so go check it out.
Very cool. Yeah, you can go to baseballtalkradio.com or write to Gary's site at Mets Musings. That's METS Musings, MUSINGS.com. So check it out over there. Of course, a lot of other baseball talk shows on the baseballtalkradio.com site as well. So,
including Rich's Phillies talk. So
yes,
he's got a fresh new episode up. So go check that out as well.
Just pressed out a fresh new edition. So invite you over there to fightingphillies.com as well. You can check it out there or anywhere that you listen to great podcasts. Well, Gary, it was great getting back to the show here. Do we have any final mentions for the close here?
I just want to say congratulations to our good friends that you can get Baseball and BBQ. Jeff and Len, they just finished their 200th episode of the show, so congratulations to them. And they are also on baseball podcast or baseballtalkradio.com, so you can get them as well. So I just want to congratulate them on their 200th episode.
All right, very good. Great, guys. Glad you got the 200th out. What do we have, about 600 out, Gary? Somewhere around there? We lost count. We lost count. We used to count by the year, then the episodes, and then my God.
We should figure it out though. We should we've got to be up there high.
We would need an abacus to figure all that out, yeah. But anyway, we thank you for tuning in to this edition of Baseball Talk Radio Show, and hit that like and subscribe button. Tell your friends about us, share the show. That's the only way we get more listeners, with fine folks like you out there listening. And I want to thank you all for tuning into this program.
And Rich, we'll see you next time.